Hey guys, John here. My module topic tonight is carbon monoxide detectors. Carbon monoxide detectors detect carbon monoxide gas in the atmosphere, or CO gas. Carbon monoxide poisoning is the leading cause of accidental death in America. Every year, roughly 20 to 30,000 people suffer from carbon monoxide poisoning, and every year, roughly around 500 people will succumb to carbon monoxide poisoning. In your home, if you have any fuel-burning devices such as a gas stove, a gas water heater, or a gas furnace, you should have carbon monoxide detectors installed to monitor the air to make sure that in case your devices malfunction, it doesn't create a deadly atmosphere for you. Carbon monoxide gas is monitored in parts per million for concentration in the atmosphere. Obviously, the lower end of parts per million, the less lethal it is, and the higher concentration of parts per million, the more lethal it is. Generally, at lower concentrations, a person can experience headaches or dizziness, and as the concentrations increase, you may become confused, you may have a fast heart rate, you may become nauseous, and at extremely high concentrations, you can take 3 breaths and go into unconsciousness, and within 3 minutes, your heart stops beating. That's why these devices are very important, especially if you have fuel-burning devices, because carbon monoxide is a byproduct of combustion. Now, the device I have here is a kitty carbon monoxide detector, and it has listed on the back the different levels and standards that it has. And one is 70 parts per million. This unit must alarm within 1 to 4 hours. Well, at 70 parts per million of carbon monoxide levels, all you're really going to feel is a headache, and that's usually after 2 hours of exposure. The second level this has listed is at 150 parts per million. The unit must alarm within 10 to 50 minutes. Well, at 150 parts per million, roughly after about 2 hours of exposure, you're going to have a little worse headache, and now you're going to start feeling a little confused, and that's after 2 hours. So this thing is going to sound off way before you have any of those symptoms. And the last it has listed is at 400 parts per million. The unit must alarm within 4 to 15 minutes. And at 400 parts per million, the headache and the confusion is going to be more extreme, but that's even at 2 hours, and this is supposed to sound off at 15 minutes. So this is really going to get you out of the danger zone way before you might succumb to any real issues. Now, just like a smoke detector, this carbon monoxide detector has a shelf span or lifespan, and this one is 7 years as indicated on the package. This, just like smoke detectors, has batteries that should be replaced twice a year, and just like smoke detectors, it should be tested twice a year. Now, you can have these installed in your home to where they're wired to the household electricity, just like smoke detectors, so you don't have to worry about batteries, but they should still be tested. And then you have another option to where these, along with your smoke detectors, can be monitored by your burglar alarm system. Like I had ADT, and they monitored a heat detector, 2 smoke detectors, and a carbon monoxide detector in my house. That way, if something happened while I wasn't home, something malfunctioned, and CO detector or carbon monoxide detectors rose while I wasn't home, this was going to let, well, not this one, but a monitored one would have let ADT know before I even got home. I wouldn't even walked into the door into a hazardous environment. They would have called me anywhere and said, hey, your carbon monoxide level is really high in your house. We're sending the fire department. And they automatically send the fire department because one day I tested the ADT carbon monoxide detector and my panel started beeping. I called up ADT. They said, oh, we dispatched. And I said, don't dispatch. I was just testing the unit. That was me. I ended up having to call the Pembroke Pines dispatch and tell them it was my fault. Don't send any units, because that would have been really embarrassing. But these detectors should be installed on every floor of the house, and especially if you have a gas furnace, in every room. I had, along with what I had monitored, a standalone battery operated CO detector in every bedroom. So the few days that we ran the heat, if something were to happen, we would have been alerted to it. So that's your CO detector, and like I said, if you have gas appliances, you definitely need to have one installed or more. So you guys have a good night.